Hey guys, it's Adrian, and today I'm taking a look at this EZVIZ CB8 2K camera, which is a 2K camera with point tilt functionality and automatic motion tracking. It also features up to 210 days of battery life due to its 10,400 milliamp hour battery. Let's get into the rest of it and see how well it does. In the package, we have the CB8 2K camera, mounting hardware, a drill guide, charging cable to top it up before it's mounted, installation guide, and quick start guide. The CB8 is a 2K camera with a 3 megapixel CMOS sensor. The resolution is 2304 by 1296 at 15 frames per second. It has 100 degrees field of view, 340 degrees panning functionality, and 65 degrees tilt functionality, giving you a 360 degree viewing angle. You can insert up to a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. It has an IP65 rating. There's also a 10,400 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. The design of the CB8 is pretty standout. I haven't seen a security camera with this type of setup before, but it's pretty interesting. Now, one thing that stands out immediately is just how heavy this is. So really, 1.8 pounds, almost 2 pounds, or about 803 grams. It's substantial. Now at the very top here, you can see we have holes for mounting, and there's also a little switch here. And if I press that down, I could go ahead and slide this guide out. So you just, install this into your ceiling and then slide it in and clip it into place like so. Now we also have a power button at the very bottom here. Also a port which is shielded, and this is what we would use to top it up using that micro USB card. You also have speakers at the bottom here for the two-way talk. And then of course we have this massive camera housing or camera module here. Yeah, really unique looking camera. So we do have the lens here, some small LED light right there, and if I rotate it here, we also have a slot here with the reset button and micro SD card. Okay, so I've loosened the two screws here, and once you lift that up, you can see we have that reset button there and a slot to pop in the micro SD card. All right, I'm gonna add the camera to the EZVIZ app before I go ahead and mount it. So I'm gonna click plus, click on scan QR code, and then I'm just gonna scan the QR code at the very bottom of the camera here. And really quickly, that added it, probably one of the fastest ads I've seen on any app. So the device is not powered on. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. And you can see the blue LED light there.
Device powered on. Welcome to EZVIZ.
So I'm going to say that the device is powered on.
Please use EZVIZ app for device Wi-Fi configuration.
Click next. Now it looks like it's ready. It's flashing blue, so I'm going to say indicator flashes blue. Next. I'll give it my location access. I'm just going to put in the password.
Configuration complete. Welcome to EZVIZ.
Alright guys, so you can see that's how quick it was to add this. Probably one of the quickest app ads I've ever done. Installation is really simple. You just put in 4 screws on the back, and then you just slide the camera in. The CB8K can be used standalone without a solar panel, but I've decided to connect mine to a solar panel. By the way guys, if you're finding this review helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help me out a ton. I'm really trying to grow this channel, but let's get back into it. Let's take a look at the EZVIZ app, which is surprisingly capable. Now when you first launch it, you have a thumbnail preview of what the camera last saw, and then you have a couple of quick options at the bottom, but let's go into the live view first. And this actually pulls up live view fairly quickly. And there we go. So once we're pulled up, we can also go ahead and make this a full screen view. And we have a couple of quick options at the bottom here. Now, if I take a look at this again, if I click this little icon here, I can switch between the feeds. So Quad HD, Full HD, High Def. I'm gonna leave it on Quad HD for now, even though my internet connection is not the best where I'm located. Now we also have the option to turn on the microphone so that you can go ahead and have two-way talk with someone. And I'm just going to turn that off. Now we also have the option to manually go ahead and pan and tilt the camera. There we go. A little bit of a delay, again, probably due to my internet connection down where I'm filming. But we have a couple of pan and tilt options there, and then I'll show you the presets as well. And we can also take a manual snapshot or recording. And of course you can have it play with the microphone pickup. And you can hear that right there. Let me turn that back down and let's exit out of here. Oh, by the way, what you can actually also do once we get out of here is you can actually do this picture in picture. So you can just pop that out, and then, you know, while you're just navigating around or doing whatever, you have, you know, live view going. So that's pretty handy to have. Not something I see in many apps. But let's also take a look here that when we're looking at this live view, we have options to review clips. Now, if I go into this, it says 5 clips in total. One thing to note though is there's no thumbnail previews on here, and I'm not sure if that changes when you have a cloud plan. So just something to be mindful of. Now, let's just exit out of here really quickly, and I'll show you where you can see thumbnail previews. So if you go into library here, I could take a look at the last 7 days, and this is where I can actually see a thumbnail preview. So for example, if I go ahead and click this, click play, so you can see it's actually tracking, and the video quality is actually pretty good on here. But again, if I click to expand, I'm not seeing a thumbnail preview. What I would have to do is go back again, and then pick the thumbnail preview that I want. Just something to be mindful of. But let's go back into live view again. And once we're in here, again, we can see that grouping of clips, and this is where you can look at all of the days. So in library, it only shows you 7 days, but I can go into today, and you can see I could jump back in time. I have all of July, and, you know, a good amount of June as well. Now, this keeps coming up about unstable network, but the app seems to function just fine even with that message. Now, let's also take a look in this area here. We could see that it's set to the memory card, micro SD card, and there's an option to take a look at cloud storage. Of course, mine has expired, so I no longer have access to that. And if we actually manually control the pan, tilt, and zoom from the bottom here, again, you know, you could go ahead and manually adjust the camera. But what you can also do is have preset locations. And if I go into the star here, I've set 4 preset locations. So I have one to backyard door. I can go ahead and click that, and I can see my backyard door. And then I have one to just go to my front door. So super handy to have. You can just pull this up at any time and then just, you know, manually jump around to any type of preset positions you like. Okay, but let's get out of that. And now let's take a full look at the app options. So in here, this is where we'd set the working mode, and this is really gonna affect battery life. So you can see it has here power plugged in, the camera will keep recording, please plug the camera in. So this is if you wanna actually have 24/7 recording. Now, if you pick this option, I think you better have it permanently hardwired and connected to, you know, something plugged into the wall in your house. Solar power is not gonna be adequate enough for this. The battery is gonna deplete a lot, and you're gonna have to take it off and top it up. Now, I've been cycling between high performance and power saving. Now, you can see high performance is a longer video clip. Obviously, it saves less power. You can do a shorter clip, saves more power, or you could just do sleep mode on, where it's always sleeping, and only when you activate live view, the camera wakes up. But what I've done is use the configure working mode option. If I go into this, you could see that I have power saving from 6:01 to 11 o'clock. Just because I don't need super long clips. But then at night, when most stuff is probably going to go down, I have it set to from 11 to 6. I want high performance where I'm getting longer clips. And of course, you could play around with this, you know, different modes, different schedules. So really a ton of functionality there. If we go into intelligent detection, now normally I have this set to human shape detection. And once I do that, it's going to jump it away from PIR infrared detection and go to human shape. And the reason why I set it to PIR is because when I was pulling up live view, the camera would just be hunting all over the place or self-calibrating itself. I didn't want that. So that's why I had it on PIR. But for the most part, I leave it on human shape detection. And from here, you can go ahead and set the sensitivity. And I found, you know, 60 to 70 is pretty good. I haven't experimented with it any lower than that. Just because I'm happy with the performance currently. Now, you can see this is where you can actually draw a motion detection area, and it says the selected area supports, you know, the alarm function on here. I just want everything, you know, monitored, so I've not drawn any of those in. If we go into notification, we have a bunch of options, so you can have, you know, audible alarms. I've just set mine to mute, and then you could change the volume there as well. We have light notification, and I leave this on all the time, and what this does is the camera will light up or flash when detection is triggered. And this is a bit of a battery drain for sure because it's on during the day and at night. So just something to be mindful of. Now, receive device message when enabled, you can review events from the device in the library tab. We also have an option here for message interval. So you can set it so that you're only bugged, every minute or every 30 minutes if you're not happy with the amount of notifications. Now we also have EZVIZ app notifications. So it says, when disabled, you will receive events in the library, but will not receive push notifications. And I prefer that because if I had that on, you'll see as we're going through, I'm going to be receiving a ton of notifications, depending on the sensitivity trigger here. Now, notification schedule, you can set it all time or, customize so that when you're sleeping, you're not getting those type of push notifications. But I'm going to leave it to all time for now. Let's go back. And then we also have offline notifications so that, if at any point the camera goes offline, you can be notified of that. Now let's go into other settings, and you can see we have audio. So it says, when disabled, live view and recorded videos will not have audio. I want audio, and I want to have a voice prompt, so I leave that on. Image settings. So I just have it set to original. You could change, of course, the saturation by picking another color. And then we also have color night vision mode. I do leave that on, and you could change the brightness of the light output. Now it's significantly decent when there's a subject near the camera, but further away, all the way to the sidewalk, it's going to be pretty dim in terms of the light. And then you can just have a traditional black and white night vision mode, which also works really well. And then if you want to have a watermark, you can enable this on-screen display option here. Now if we go into light settings, there's the camera status light, and I like to run this because I want people to know, the camera's on or it's powered. Again, a bit of a battery drain. Then if we go into pan, tilt, zoom settings, so I'm going to enable human tracking. Again, I had this disabled when I was in live view, just so the camera wouldn't hunt. But you see, when enabled, the camera will automatically follow human movement, and it actually works really well. And then we have a PTZ position calibration. Now, if we go into battery, you can see the current level is 47. That's great. I mean, it did increase the percentage overnight, like to when I'm filming now. But I would have liked to see like a solar trend, so I could see how much solar charging I'm getting over the last 3 days or 7 days. And I'd like to see a battery drain trend, just so that I could see, how much of my battery is depleting and how quickly, so I can make other changes in the app and see what kind of effect it has. So one area for improvement right there. Let's go into Cloud Play, and you can see that my plan is expired, but if you wanted to subscribe, you have a couple of options here. So there's a 7-day, which is, it would keep videos for 7 days, kind of like a rolling 7 days, and monthly that would be $6. Or you could do a 30-day monthly for $11, or you could just do 30-day rolling for 110 US. So you have a couple options there, single camera, and then of course you have options for multi-camera. I don't really like paying for a subscription plan, so I'm not going to use that. If we go into record list, you could see I have memory card, and it shows that I have my 128 gigabyte memory card in here. It's just showing 120 available, but you can have up to 256. Now, another thing is we could go into security settings, and you can see that they do allow video encryption, so that's always great to know. We can also go ahead and share the device with, friends or family. Now, one other thing to note, and I'll go into the live view to demonstrate this. So let's go into live view again, and you can see I have it set to the quad HD feed. Now, if I wanted to kind of like zoom in on an area, so I can see the grass here, I can see the mulch on the trees there, and you can see it says tracking because the human tracking is currently enabled right now. And I can go ahead, I can take a look at that car, and I can go ahead and manually pan and tilt this camera. Now let's try that. And what I'm trying to show is that sometimes while I'm manually doing this, the camera will track something, and there you go, it automatically just starts panning by itself because it's detected motion. Now, this is a bit annoying because sometimes you may be looking or monitoring something. Say I wanted to monitor those neighbors across the street. The camera is going to automatically auto-calibrate itself, and that causes me to miss what I would normally want to look at if someone was acting, say, suspicious over there, and I wanted to keep an eye on that. I'm not really in 100% control because, if the camera detects motion, like it just detected it on the tree there, it just detected it on that static shed, it's just going to go ahead, track whatever it wants. Okay, I think it saw maybe that car. It's going to go ahead, track whatever it wants, and once it loses tracking, you could see it's auto-calibrating itself again, causing me to miss something or causing me potentially to miss someone else who is walking or a car. So what I would like is, an option on this screen to just disable all types of tracking or in terms of panning and tilting when I'm pulling up live view, and I don't see an option like that. I would have to go into the menu, set it to PIR detection, disable human tracking to be able to do that. So something to be mindful of, and hopefully, pretty easy functionality can be added afterwards. Now the video quality on here is actually pretty good for a 2K camera, but it is only a 3 megapixel sensor, and I wish that it was at least a 5 megapixel sensor. So if you have, someone close up to the camera, it's, easy to make out their face, that's no problem. Once they're further back, or say you're gonna mount this on a driveway, if a car, hit your car, backed into your car, you may not be able to make out the license plate once it's that far out because of the megapixel count. Tracking also locked on focus really good. And even at night, the motion tracking really surprised me. It's actually quite capable on this camera. Now, in terms of the light feature on here, it's definitely not the brightest or most powerful light I've seen, but it does enough to illuminate if you have subjects like really close by. But once they're further out, it's just gonna be kind of like ambient diffused light once it reaches that area. So the camera can also detect motion from about 15 meters or 49 feet out. Now I didn't test it at the max range, but from where I've installed it at the front of my house or the side of my house to the sidewalk and the road where it's detecting people and cars coming and going, it's a good 20 to 30 feet and it works perfectly in that range. The 100 degrees field of view also comes in really handy because I could see pretty much once someone enters the sidewalk from the edge of my house and they're out of frame on the other side, I could capture all of that. And when you pair that with the 340 degree, panning feature, you can get, pretty much full coverage of any type of motion. Now, while this camera does an excellent job at human detection and tracking, once someone exits the frame, the camera has a tendency to self-calibrate. So the camera head will rotate backwards to the wall that it's mounted on so that all you're seeing is that back wall. Then it rotates back to the front and you're capturing whatever's in front of your house. And that process takes about 3 to 5 seconds. The problem with that is because it self-calibrates, pretty often, if someone doubled back into the frame, right? Say we're scoping out your house, they left and they came back. Or if someone else enters the frame, or say, there's a car coming or any other type of motion, you probably miss that during that 3 to 5 seconds where it's rotating and then rotating back to the front. So just something to be mindful of. I don't think I'm gonna really miss anything super critical or important, but something to keep in mind. So all in all, I'm pretty satisfied with the video quality and performance, but I do wish in a future version they'd introduce a 4K version with a higher megapixel count.
An example of what the audio sounds like coming out of the CB8. You can hear it's pretty clear with minimal audio dropout.
Now storage on here is really good, so you can insert up to a 256 gigabyte micro SD card, but right now I have a 128 gigabytes micro SD card, and that allows me to go back about 2 months, which is pretty good. And again, that's based on motion-based recordings only, not 24/7 recording. But anytime I look at a camera system, I'm looking at one that gives me about a week of footage that I could go back, maybe 2 weeks. That would be a bonus. Say I go on vacation, and to have basically 2 months with 128 gigabytes. That's quite good. If I went ahead and got the 256, I could get pretty much 4 months. When I installed the camera, the battery life was at 100% capacity, and right now it's about 2 months in and I have 43% left. If I was to estimate that out, I could probably run to about 4 months before I needed to take the camera off, plug it in and recharge it. Now it is connected to a solar panel, and when you first buy this, it's an optional accessory. You can connect it or not. I highly recommend you connect it so you're not going up there all the time to recharge this. Now consider that I have all of these turned on. I have human detection on, I have motion tracking, and like I said, I have a ton of foot traffic, people coming and going, kids walking back and forth from school, people walking their pets. I have a color night vision light on, so I'm not using the black and white mode. I also have a status LED light so people know the camera's active, and I have a notification light, so once it starts tracking, it shoots on or turns on a light as well. So really, I have a ton of stuff going on here. It's constantly panning, recalibrating itself. So, about 2 months of battery life and probably about 4 months by the end of it once it's completely dead. That's pretty good. So the only thing I haven't done with this camera is I haven't enabled the 24/7 recording feature. And the reason why I haven't done that is that even though I have it connected to a solar panel, the way it's functioning right now with the amount of motion I have going on, I can see that the battery drain is quite a lot. So I know if I enable 24/7 recording, it would probably just be a matter of 1 or 2 months where I'm up on the ladder trying to take this down to plug it in and top it up. So if you're considering 24/7 recording, you're gonna have to find a way to run that USB cable into your house and have it permanently, plugged into a wall. I think that's just the safest bet. So can I recommend the EZVIZ CB8 2K pan tilt camera? And this is just one of the most user-friendly camera systems that I've used so far. I found the installation to be really easy, and the way they designed it so you could just slide in the camera body and then just remove it, so you need to top it up. It's a really smart and user-friendly system. I also like that there's no monthly fees with this, and if you wanted to get any type of cloud storage, that's completely optional. But yeah, overall, I'm super happy with this camera system, especially the human detection and motion tracking. The only thing is that, with that self-calibration, like I mentioned earlier, you may miss some stuff, but for the most part, it hasn't been a problem for me. I've just kind of set this camera up and left it, and it's been working flawlessly. The EZVIZ CB8 2K camera comes in at around $160 US. Now, if you're interested in picking it up, I'm going to leave some links down below along with a coupon code for an additional discount. And as always, if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help me out a ton, guys, and I'll see you in the next one soon.